All right, guys, I'm with the ENGWE bike, the Engine Pro. This works with the Ep-2 Pro also, but we're gonna put some BMX handlebars on this bike because I always felt like the stock bars on this bike were just way too high and way too short. You couldn't put any phone mount, any extra headlight on there, any accessory you really want. So today in this video, we're gonna leave links in the description. You guys can do the same mod, and I'm gonna start taking it apart. As you can see, looking at this bike compared to all my other bikes in the background, these handlebars are massively high. It's not too big of a deal when you're just riding it, having a good time, but I mean, I feel like it's just gonna be so much more comfortable for my riding style and shorter people also. I feel like having more of a BMX style type of handlebar situation, wider, more control over the bike, I think it's gonna be a lot better. All right, so the first mod we got these bars from Jet BMX or chromoly, and they are 9-inch. I was gonna go with the 8.5, but I feel like it should be okay. I kinda set them up next to the bike because I feel like the stem might sit right here. And if you look, I think it's gonna be a lot lower. Hopefully it's not too low. I don't want it to be like crazy low, but yeah, let's show you some other of the parts we got. We have got a standard stem from Lowrider Bicycles and Accessories from USA. They're a distributor for F&R Cycle industry, but I mean, honestly, it's just a basic stem. It's nothing special. It's not gonna blow your socks off. I didn't want to spend too much money. I think you can get this for 30 or 40 bucks. And this is the main accessory that we need. I'm hoping I got the right size. Hopefully I didn't get smaller than I needed. But basically this part is going to replace this and it's gonna fit right in here. Clamp it down. The stem goes onto this part. It's gonna stick up a little bit unless we cut it, but I think I'm just gonna leave it for the time being. So let's get to working on this bike and start taking it apart. I use Park Tools when doing my builds and everything like that. This is not a sponsor of the video. I just really like these tools. So you guys can use whatever you want, but I highly suggest using these. These are pretty nice. These are the AWS 10. I think the only two things we need to take off are these big 2 bolts. And I feel like this whole entire stem should just come off of the bike. We just gotta be careful not to damage our display if we set these bars off to the side, because all the wires are still gonna be connected. I just wanna make sure that all this stuff fits in here before we get too far on the build. Okay, so just loosening these did not do that. So what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to fold this mechanism down and there's gonna be a bolt exposed down in here. All right, so this is what the piece looks like. So once we loosen this, I think the whole entire front should come off now. All right, so we got the handlebars taken off, and now I think we gotta go through some of this other stuff to take this off so we can get to more stuff, because we definitely have to get rid of this center piece right here, which I'm trying to think of how we do that. Okay, so if you look in here, you're gonna see that there's a little plate in here, and that's what sandwiches against this little tube in here. I'm gonna have to get that out. So I'm thinking about grabbing that screw back in here, tightening it down just a little bit, and then seeing if I can lift it up, because we gotta put our new piece in there, which the new piece does fit. I verified it. We just need to move that so we can get this in there. That piece needs to be hammered out, and I tried to hammer it down, just go all the way through and come out the bottom. It didn't work. So what I did is I decided to take the tire off, and the fender on the Engine Pro is still connected to the fork. So once I remove this, I'm gonna be able to get something underneath here, and I don't think a rubber mount's gonna work, but get a hammer and I'll start hammering it from the bottom, and I'll hit it from the back side, and I'll hopefully pop this out, because I wanna save this just in case we ever wanna reuse it and go back to the foldable handlebars and all that stuff. So give me a second and hopefully we don't break anything. Okay, I found a solution that was working. So I got a 16mm socket. Maybe you can find something different that's more circle. And then I got 2 long extensions, not super long. Basically came from underneath the bike right here, slid it all the way up here. You have a little bit hanging out. And then got my big mallet. And basically been hammering it little by little. You can see it's already at the top. So I'm just gonna keep going, and we're gonna get this piece out right now. There we go. And that's what we needed out of the bike. Trial and error, learn from my mistakes. That piece that I was finally glad that we got out. Technically on this model, I know the Ep-2 uses a different type of setup in the front, but on the Engine Pro, you don't actually need to take any of that out. You can literally just use this little part of it that comes up, clamp it down, just make sure it's straight lined up with the bike. You won't have to do none of this extra stuff that I did. So it's good for you guys to know if you guys don't want to do what I did and think you have to do it, because this slides all the way down on it. The only bad part I'm going to say right now is it's gonna be too low, I think. So I'm gonna leave this in here for now, and I'm gonna see how it is with it up here, even though it's gonna look kind of funky with that big old gap right here. And then I'm also gonna try it with it all the way down right here. But anyways, I'm gonna see what different heights I wanna work with and see how we go, because I do not wanna be leaned like way too far over the handlebars. So let's get this kind of tightened up. Let's get the front wheel back on, forget the fender for now, and let's kind of adjust our bars and get them on there. All right, front tire back on. The stem is now tight onto the lower part, not the top part yet. And now I'm gonna start loosening these and we're gonna get the handlebars now. The bars are on the bike. They look fantastic, the nice glossy black. And it actually doesn't look bad. The only thing that kind of makes it look bad is having this stem very, very high up there, because I thought I was gonna have to attach it to that, but doesn't look like we would have to. But if you do step back from the bike, it actually looks like a normal ass bike, but I am leaning so much more forward. My arms are kind of almost like when you're on a Super 73, you kind of lean forward a lot. I actually feel like I'm leaning forward a lot more on this one, even with the bars being closer to me or farther out. It would be more comfortable to have the bars on that high stem up there, but I'm thinking at the end of the day that it would look so much cleaner without having this on here, because if I put the bars up here, then we're gonna have a big old gap in this little middle section. So if I knew I was gonna come down on this side, I would actually probably go with a higher bar, because these are the 9-inch rise. I'd probably go with like a 10, just to be on the safe side. But anyways, I need to get all the controls off of this stock setup right here. So we gotta get the grips off and the controller, the display. I got a lot of stuff to do right now, so I'm gonna get started. It looks like I have a little friend watching me. Help me put this bike together. This is probably gonna be the longest part of this build, but it is the easiest. So when you get to the step when you take off all the extra hardware and whatnot, you're gonna notice that this is just taking me forever. But for the most part, it is easy. I have almost finished the build. We ran into a few slight problems. There's 2 screws on both of these grips, and I only knew there was one. I thought there was one, so I kind of broke that, but it actually ended up working. Fits pretty fine. This fits really tight on these handlebars. This fits fine. This fits fine. The grips fit fine. This does not fit because these bars are too thin. So putting a bunch of tape on here and then getting this mounted up should be fine. The only other thing I noticed is there is a little bit of play in the headset, because the old style, you used to be able to tighten a screw down in here and it smashed everything together. All right, so a little bit of time has passed, and that's because my gardener came and I wanted to just start working on the bike. I couldn't record because you weren't gonna be able to hear anything anyway. And I was completely right. So this is the finished product. I've been probably working on it the last hour. I was 100% right. You do not need this bar. I will put a link in the description, because I think you do need this if you have the EP2 Pro. But if you have the Engine Pro from ENGWE, you do not need that. You can use basically the forks that already extend out of the frame. You can literally just put this stem right on there. And what I did is, you can see that I have the original piece that basically smashes this all together. So now I don't have any play in the front whatsoever. I basically reinserted that piece down here. So that piece that I took the wheel off, took the fender off just to pop it out from underneath and get it up. Don't even do that. Don't waste your time like I did. Learn from my mistakes. You can literally leave that piece in there, tighten this down on here, tighten this, and it will be flawless. Now, I did fix the issue with the screen, which is very nice. Let me turn it on real quick so you can see it. But basically what I did is, you can do whatever you guys want, but I put electrical tape right here. And I basically just kept wrapping it around. And now this thing ain't going nowhere. Like, I'm literally trying to move that, and I'm moving the whole bike. So you can see, if you can even see it, it's very subtle. You're not gonna notice that there's tape underneath this display. So that's how I got the display to fit on this handlebar, because it is skinnier than the sides. I was not about to have it sideways right here. I also set up the bike with 2 front headlights so we can see at night, because this headlight that comes on it is not very bright. We also went ahead and I put a LED light right here, which I'm gonna have to change that because we cannot have cop lights on this bike. And then I put an SLR1 strapped up here. I ordered another bracket to put another one on here. I have these because I have skateboards, And these lights are pretty nice, so that's something you might want to do. This one might be dead. Oh no, it's not dead. Okay. You can have a flash or you can have it just stay on. I might just have it stay on because this brake light, the middle of it does not work, which I thought it did, but no, it's just a reflector. So yeah, that's pretty much all you need to do to put BMX handlebars on your ENGWE bike. And I will say that the post, or whatever you want to call this thing, you can use it if you want to put the bars higher up on the bike. I will say at the end of this video, I'll show you a clip of my girl riding it at night. I just want to see her first impression on what she felt. And she said that she was sitting way too far forward. She felt like she was almost like Speed Racer, kind of sitting up. If you do want to put it higher, then you can use that post and then you could put the neck higher, but then you're going to have a big gap of like that in the frame to the handlebars, or from the frame to the stem. So it's up to you on what you guys want to do. But anyways, thanks for watching. That's going to be the video. Hopefully that helped you out, and don't do the same thing I did if you don't want to remove all that stuff internally. Depending on what bike you have, Ep-2 Pro is different from the Engine Pro, but for mine, that's how everything worked, and it looks awesome. And now, in the next video, if you want to subscribe, I'm going to be taking this thing to work. I want to see if my coworker Vinny likes it when he sits on it, if he feels any better. And then I also want to give you my impression on the handlebars compared to the stock setup. So see you guys in the next one. Peace out.
If you ask me, I feel like I'm like kissing an imaginary windshield. I feel like you're leaning like too forward.
It is a lot lower.
I don't like that.
Before it used to be like really, really high.
I feel like if I'm maybe right here, that's good. But I feel like I'm just like,
yeah.
I don't know how I feel about it.
There was an option to have a tube come out of here, and it was like this high, and then these would go here, but then you'd have a big open gap in the bottom. So it was either be hella low or a little bit higher, but you'd have a big open space and it looked funny.
Let's see me put it higher. I don't know. I just feel like I'm about to go like this the whole time.
Well, I could move the handlebars back. They like full back, but they would still be down.
No, it just feels low.
Yeah.